Hi, I'm Jamie French with Advent Partners, here to give you a brief market update. If you just tuned in at the beginning of this week or the end of last week to see how the markets did, you may have concluded that it was a fairly quiet week in the market, when in reality it was anything but. We had a significant amount of volatility, and then a strong rally on Friday that masked some of what we saw earlier in the week. And that was really led by some volatility in the technology sector. And I just want to touch briefly on what's going on there. From a positive standpoint, with the development of artificial intelligence and strong corporate earnings in the tech sector, that's what's driven growth in that sector for some time. But there is a growing concern about the valuation of those stocks, as well as what the impact of artificial intelligence will have on other things like software development. And so some of the volatility that you're experiencing is just a little bit of concern coming from that, as well as I think investors are starting to think about, with the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 being fairly technology heavy, people are starting to look at other asset classes in which they might want to be invested. And that's really reflected in the performance of various indices that we pay attention to, and how they differ. So, for example, the NASDAQ, which is a tech-heavy index, was down about 1.8% last week, which brought it into negative territory for the year. And that was after a 2.2% rally just on Friday. So that's where we saw a lot of the volatility. The Dow Jones, by contrast, which has some technology influence, but also has, more exposure to traditional blue chip U.S. companies. The Dow is up 2.5% last week and up over 4% year to date. And the S&P 500 is kind of in between. It's up a little over 1% year to date, but certainly lagging behind the Dow. And then a lot of our clients, we have exposure to international stocks in the portfolios. That is up about over 5% year to date. So it's just a reminder of the importance of diversifying, as well as managing the portfolio and making adjustments as the markets are changing. And if you ever want to have conversations about that and all the work we do behind the scenes to pay attention to that, certainly would be happy to schedule some time to do that. Besides the different sectors and asset classes that are represented in the different indices that we pay attention to, economic data that's being released can also have an impact on the markets. Last week, there was some jobs reports that came out that were below expectations, so that may have impacted the volatility a bit as well. And this week, there's a significant amount of data coming out, data related to jobs and unemployment, some consumer spending data, and then, of course, at the end of the week, the inflation report coming out, which we know the Fed will pay attention to. So that can also move the needle in terms of volatility in the market. So strong start to the year, still the potential for volatility. We'll give you another update next week. For now, thanks for listening, and have a great week.